Okay, we're going to look today at expanding brackets using surds. So what I've got here is root 2 plus 1, and what I want to be able to do is multiply this by its conjugate, and that is just a fancy way of saying instead of being root 2 plus 1, make it root 2 minus 1. So the calculation I want to be able to carry out is root 2 plus 1 multiplied by root 2 subtract 1. Now that should look familiar to you in the sense that it is two brackets with two terms in each bracket. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand it using FOIL. The same technique that we would use if it was x plus 1, x minus 1. FOIL will give us four terms. Remember, firsts, outers, inners, lasts. Okay, this is not massively difficult if you keep your head. Firsts means the first thing in that bracket multiply the first thing in this bracket. Root 2 multiplied by root 2. I'm going to write it out here. Root 2 multiplied by root 2 is the same as the square root of 2 times 2, which is the square root of 4, which is 2. Now you might think that's a long-winded way to get to a simple answer, and you might be able to spot that root 2 times root 2 is 2. If you can, fantastic. If you can't, that's how you get to it. Outers is the two outer terms. So that means this one here and that one here. So it's root 2 multiplied by negative 1. Root 2 multiplied by negative 1, which is negative 1 root 2, and we would just write negative root 2 because we never really write 1 times anything, don't need to. Inners are the two which sit next to each other like that. So I've got 1 multiplied by root 2, 1 multiplied by root 2 is 1 root 2, which gives me root 2. And L stands for lasts, which is the two last things in the bracket, so the 1 multiplied by the negative 1. 1 multiplied by negative 1 equals negative 1. So I've got four terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add them all together. I'm going to get 2 minus root 2 plus root 2 minus 1. Now, this is deliberately designed so negative root 2 plus root 2 cancels out, so they cancel out to 0. And 2 subtract 1 is 1. So that whole thing becomes 1. That calculation gives me the answer 1. Okay, pause the video and have a go yourself. Okay, welcome back. Root 3 subtract 1. Your calculation then should be root 3 subtract 1 in the first bracket and root 3 plus 1 in the second bracket. And if you're following using FOIL, I go first times first. Root 3 multiplied by root 3. Root 3 multiplied by root 3 is the square root of 3 times 3, which is the square root of 9, which is 3. Then outers. Here are the outers. Root 3 multiplied by 1. Root 3 multiplied by 1 gives me 1 root 3, or just root 3. The inners, which are the two next to each other, I've got negative 1 multiplied by root 3, which gives me negative 1 root 3, or just negative root 3. And then the two last things in the brackets, negative 1 multiplied by 1, which gives me negative 1. Write the 4 terms out. I've got 3 plus root 3, subtract root 3, subtract 1. The 2 root 3's cancel. 3 subtract 1 equals 2. Okay. Another way you might see them written, and it doesn't make any difference, is like this. So I start with 2 plus root 3, excuse me, and I'm going to multiply it by the conjugate. So 2 plus root 3 multiplied by 2, subtract root 3. So it doesn't make any difference. All I'm doing is changing this sign. I'm going to follow FOIL, F-O-I-L, and I'm going to say 2 times 2 for the firsts is 4. Outers, which will be the 2 on the outside, isn't it? So 2 multiplied by negative root 3 this time. 2 multiplied by negative root 3 gives me negative 2 root 3. Inners, I get 2 multiplied by root 3, which gives me 2 root 3. And lasts, here look, root 3 multiplied by negative root 3 is the same as, now be careful, because here negative root 3 means negative 1 multiplied by root 3. So it's negative 1 multiplied by the square root of 3 times 3, which is negative root 9, which equals negative 3. So be careful with that. Write all your terms out. 4 subtract 2 root 3, so there's the 4, there's the 2 root 3, plus 2 root 3, and then subtract 3. And then look, negative 2 root 3 plus 2 root 3 will cancel again. That's not by accident, that's by design. 4 subtract 3 is 1, and so again that gives me 1. Okay, try this one. 4 subtract root 2. Pause the video, have a go, and then press play, and I'll be here waiting. Here I am, as promised. 4 subtract root 2. I'm going to multiply it by the conjugate, which would be 4 plus root 2. And because it's a pair of brackets, I'm going to use FOIL. And I'm going to say first, which is 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And then I'm going to say outers. So 4 multiplied by root 2. 4 multiplied by root 2, I'll just write that as 4 root 2. Inners, the two next to each other, is negative root 2 multiplied by 4, which is negative 4 root 2, and then negative root 2 multiplied by positive root 2, which remember is negative 1 multiplied by root 2 multiplied by root 2, which gives me negative root 4, which equals negative 2. Write all the terms out. 16 plus 4 root 2, subtract 4 root 2, subtract 2. Again, by design, these two central terms will cancel out. And I'm left with 16 subtract 2, which is 14. So if I multiply that by its conjugate, I will get 14. So there are questions like that later on in the exercise, and I hope you enjoy them very much. Okay, take care, and I'll see you next time.